This episode is sponsored by the Clubhouse Abuja.
My entire life, people have tried to label me. They've always tried to label me. So from when I was a kid, through bullying, when I started in the industry, they tried to call me a stylist. Never been a stylist. I've been a fashion consultant. I've never been a model. I've been an actor. I've been so many different things than what they've called me out to be. And at some point, it was just beginning to be like, what more do I have to do to let them see the context and the truth of who I am? And then when I stopped giving a shit, and I was like, honestly, I really don't care anymore. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. And you can either eat it or, not. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just doing me for the most part. We're human beings. As much as we say we don't care what people think, of course, to some extent, you're gonna care. Like, you're one person, it will affect you in some way or the other. But by and large, the baseline of the compulsion to really consider what people are going to think or feel about certain things, that's gone.
Man, I care, man. It's important to care. I feel like at any point in time, I think it's natural to always have that healthy awareness of what the world sees you as. Just because sometimes it's important that you try to express flawlessly what you are, to the world, and then see how they feel about that. Not that it's going to make you doubt yourself. Like, how the world feels about you shouldn't affect how you see yourself, but you should at least know,
Yeah. Even.
I like to think of the conversations I curate on this podcast as audio portraits. Through voice and music, I paint portraits of my guests. I'm a facilitator of beauty, not skin deep, but life deep. And my next guest is as beautiful and as deep as they come. Denola Grey is a fashion consultant, actor, author, and one of the most stylish men I know. He's got outfits for days and cheekbones sharper than a razor blade. He's also a star on the hit Netflix show, Castle and Castle. Speaking of castles, Denola gave me a glimpse behind his castle walls by sharing the flights and falls, the contradictions that make him the fascinating show we've all come to know and love. Fun fact, his name is one of the names I love to mispronounce. I'm Igbo and he's Yoruba, so I'm not quite sure. Is it Denola or Denola as in granola? I've actually never heard the name said out loud, so I'm just going to go with Denola to be safe. It just sounds most Yoruba to me. Forgive me for butchering your name, bro. That aside, ours was a conversation about the beautiful things, the ugly things, the things in between all of that, mental health, toxic relationships, setting boundaries, all through Denola's life experience. In general, I just asked him things I've always wanted to know, and he was gracious enough to indulge me. Obviously, I had to bring up his stellar sense of style and how much I envy it. That nigga can dress. Here's the tea, though. Underneath those outfits lie 50 shades of grey. See what I did there? This episode is basically 50 shades and 50 minutes of Denola Grey. At the end of the day, he's a guy who's endured a lot of bullying as a child, but has made sure to not become that which he detests. I think that's noble, that's God, and I think that's the overarching theme of this episode. This is going to be one of those conversations where you learn more about yourself as you listen to my guest share intimate details about himself. And if you enjoy ASMR, you're going to enjoy our deep voices stroking your eardrums for the next 50 minutes. It's lit. Do follow the podcast on IG at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God for exclusive content. My name is Rodney Omokache, and this is The Young God. So what tea are you having? We can start with small talk.
What tea am I having? I'm actually, as a normal Nigerian, proper Nigerian does, like packed tea from Lagos. A friend of mine, she makes like these beautifully handcrafted teas.
Yeah.
And this one is called the Day Starter. It's, I think, cinnamon, black tea and clove, and it just makes me feel as if like I'm like of the soil.
Of the soil. I've never heard that before. I never heard tea making a nigga feel like they're of the soil.
I mean, of the soil is something. It's like it kind of like borderline derogatory thing I say of going like authentically Nigerian and very of the soil. As in like Richard Quest. Authentically African.
Look at you, man. This is I've been thinking about doing this for the longest time, but I was just not sure what angle to come off. You know, I wasn't sure what I wanted to know and what I think my audience wants to know, and if you would even be down for such things. But I think the other day I just had an epiphany, like Denola Grey, season 2 of Castle on Castle. Someone was talking about that with me the other day. I'm like, okay, would you like to hear Denola on my podcast? Like, what would that be like for you? And she was like, yes. I'm like, I gotta give them what they want, bro.
Gotta give people what they want, honestly. I mean, see, I always never think people really give a shit about what I have to say. I always say that my friends are like, because I mean, anytime I tweet something and it becomes like a bit controversial, which is why I kind of stopped tweeting as often. Like, I think last year I had like 2 Twitter snappers. I'm like, I am not built for this life. But I never really think that people care what I have to say. And then when it blows up, I'm like, okay, so people like actually care what I think. Like, why? And so typically like podcasting things, like they're fine because I mean, I guess I get to give more context into the kind of person I am, so people don't think I'm just like another like Yoruba asshole that is like entitled, because I'm definitely not. So.
Okay, so people think that you're Yoruba asshole who's entitled. Is that something you have to contend with a lot of the time?
I think when I started working in the industry, wow, these prints are not matching. But when I started working in the industry, you guys are just thinking like that.
It's allowed.
But yeah, I think when I started in the industry, I think just how I present and people just kind of thought this is just another spoiled rich kid. I'm like, oh, you guys don't know that happened. I'm not even, but you know. I think it was Lady Gaga that said that she wants us all to walk around all delusional like we don't it's until we do. So I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Amen. I mean, so when you got in the industry and people had this perception of you, did they tell you, or was it something you just got a sense of?
They told me in some cases, and you know, sometimes, you know, there's just not a lot of tact. Like people just kind of say things. Like I remember like being on one set, I think it's 2016, and I was like, you know, the production was, nobody was on time. Like, you know, I had signed a contract to do a certain amount of work, and then they were trying to sneak extra things in there. And I was like, yo, like, this is not cool. Like, I know I'm only just doing this for the first time, but like, this is what was my contract. So this is what I should be doing. Of course, I'm a team player. Like, if I need to do something for the sake of it, then yeah, but don't assume that you can just like railroad me. And like, I was playing for myself every time. And then they're like, wait, and then somebody does, and I do understand Yoruba. So they were saying to Yoruba, they're like, all these, I'm all in or like all these, you know, rich kids, all rich kids. I was like, well, Yoruba, so watch your mouth, basically. And they're like, sorry, I didn't mean it. But, you know, sometimes, you know how you people are, like, what do you mean with people? You people that, you know, you went to school in America. I'm like, I went to school in America, doesn't mean that I'm, like, rich. I mean, I'm privileged. You know, or like I know that my parents sacrificed a lot for me to do that. So how about you?
I love that you mentioned that your parents did the hard work for you to be here, to be where you are.
1,000%. Like I know, like, first of all, I got a scholarship to the school I ended up going to.
Okay.
Right. And then my second year, like, I lost my scholarship because I was like, my mental health was like in the gutter. So like, I just like was going out a lot, and I just was just not in a good space. So like, my grades dropped, and if it drops over a certain level, you lose your scholarship. So I lost my scholarship. So normally, like, more of my parents, like, they ended up paying like the full thing as well. And it's something that I'll never take for granted because I also don't have student loans. And I'm like, this is why I'm like, I beg. School fees are enough birth control for me. I don't like
shit.
I can't. Like, I actually like my life the way it is. I'm thoroughly taking care of myself. Like, I'm throwing another tiny lemon into the mix.
I think a lot of people need to and this will sound very convoluted when I say it like this, but a lot of people need to check their privilege when they talk about the privilege of others, because
Yeah.
they forget that you didn't just wake up in the situation you're in. Somebody in your generation, in your past, your ancestor or whatever, decided to put in the work so that you would not have to do as much as they have to do.
Right.
So I think when people call out privilege, they disregard or do a disservice to the work that has come in the past, and acknowledging that it's just a continuation of the excellence or the foresight or the intention that someone's parents or grandparents had for them.
Well, like even the work ethic that you kind of see your parents go through as well. Like it's not as if like, and to be honest, like, and I think what really irks me about just that particular thing of like, oh, he's just another rich kid, is kind of like, it kind of subtracts from the amount of work that I diligently done over the past 8 years. And it's not as if, like, when I came back to Nigeria, my parents were like, oh yeah, we've done university, we're cutting you off. You can live in our house as long as you want, but like, start paying your way for things. They haven't given me anything since like when I moved back 2013. Like maybe the occasional, I can see how struggling, and just kicking in, and I take 20K, make it last for like 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But but that was like everyone, like very seldom happened, because I mean they knew that we had to become self-sufficient. So I remember one of the first things I ever did in Nigeria is I was trying to do fashion PR. I think that paid me like 15K or something. And I did, and I worked like diligently on that for like 3-4 days, or the amount of free work that I did, or, the shoots that I did, TV tapings that I did for free, just to kind of like get control in front of the camera and just kind of like, just be around the entertainment media space. So it's always really funny when people are like, you're just another kid. I'm like, no, I put in the hours, and you don't have to like believe that I did, but I know that I did that. That's enough for me. So when people send me messages, be like, I know you had the connections, make me a model, make me an actor. I'm like, I don't. I'm still figuring out that scape myself. And I work my ass off to get exactly where I am. And I will always return you back to yourself every time. And if I can help in any way, I will. But like, I can't make you. I think last year I almost like died from COVID. I was sick for 3 weeks, and then that really just changed a lot from me. I was like, if I died right now, I would be in a situation in which I cared too much about what people thought. I was like hiding myself from the world. I wasn't really going out a lot in Lagos. Like I just didn't really want to be bothered by people staring at me, or and people think that tactful in Lagos, where you pass by a couple of people that that they're just talking about you, and they say really, really awful things sometimes. And I used to care so much and be like, oh my God, like I'm one person, like how can people be so cruel? Like I never do anything to anybody. Well, after I died, almost like I was sick for 3 weeks last year, and I was like, I actually don't give a fuck anymore. Like, fuck all of you. And I'm just going to be having fun, and I have. So, and I've been having a great time.
That's it, man. Nothing like a near-death experience to help you live better, right?
Hell yeah, because I'm like, let me just look at the stats. I would have been 30 years old, single, after like a bevy of like toxic ass relationships. My savings are just my savings. I have no investments. I'm still living in my daddy's house. I need to make some changes. And I did.
Toxic relationships. What's that about?
Toxic relationships don't only cover like romantic relationships.
Oh, yeah.
There's also there's so many different ways in which you give away our power to people. Whether it's like by having poor boundaries or not even enforcing the boundaries you already have. Like, when something just isn't good for you, and you know that you're only staying there because you are prioritizing the other person's happiness over yours.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my MO. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to kill my personality. Like, I actually really like the person I am now. Like, and I kind of decided undergoing like a bit of a spiritual awakening in 2018 after the last most significant narcissistically abusive relationship. I was like, All right, sir, we're back here again. Time to hack it all up and make better energetic boundaries. And I have, so far so good, made strides in ensuring that doesn't happen again. My communication is clear. Communicating my boundaries are clear. I hold more space for people, and I'm also very clear about who I allow into my energy field. And it's the most rewarding thing I could ever give myself, because nobody's going to do the work for you. It's just going to be you.
Truly, like, just the idea of self-responsibility just becomes clearer and clearer as you age. Like, you just realize that ain't nobody gonna sort all this shit out for you. Nobody's gonna unpack the baggage,
all the childhood trauma, all the other shit. I mean,
when two people relate authentically with each other, like, God is the energy that flows within them. Like, just good things happen. You find that issues and problems just become, I wouldn't say easier to solve, but you can see an end in sight. Like, you know that you're both going towards the same place, as opposed to when there is this inauthenticity where one person is, for example, not yet in themselves fully, or another person, they're not embodied, or the other person feels like they have to hide or pretend, to be a certain way with this person. In the end, it always ends in tears.
Always. And what's worse is that a lot of the time people can't even articulate some of the pain that they're feeling, which, is also another thing. That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
When you can't name and shame the things that you're going through internally, you're going to make sure that you project so much onto everybody else around you, because it has to be their fault and not yours.
Yeah.
Naming and acknowledging, like, our shortcomings and, like, our triggers and the things that make us act out. Bringing that into consciousness is the best way to kind of, like, heal it or transmute it into something more positive. Is what I've learned, really. So, and I'm still learning. I'm not freaking perfect. Like, I can definitely be an asshole as well. Like, I have a very sharp tongue. Like, I give you a long rope, but then if I get to the end of that rope, I can't be held responsible for anything I say to you, because I'm probably going to mean it, and I'm definitely going to hurt your feelings.
If you live in Abuja, the clubhouse is one of the places I recommend for a good time. Apart from the restaurant, they have a gym, a large pool, outdoor sitting, indoor sitting, poolside sitting, kiddies playground, everything. It's perfect for all kinds of events. Friday nights are for live music too. Use the On God promo code to get one-day swimming pool access and a drink of your choice on the house. Visit at the Clubhouse Abuja on IG to plan your next date. You're one of the most stylish men I know. Where do you get all these outfits, bro? Where do you find them? Like, how do you just have like a...
I honestly
do you repeat clothes, bro?
I do. I do more. I repeat more often than people realize. Okay. I think I call it fashion economics. Like, if you have a suit, for instance, like a matching suit, I always go for matching suits, especially if it's print. You can wear it together, with a plain shirt. That's one outfit. You can wear the jackets with another pair of trousers. Second outfit. Wear the trousers without a jacket. That's the third outfit. Wear the trousers with another jacket. That's the fourth outfit. Mm-hmm. You can make 4 outfits out of one too. It's fashion economics. Now, if you don't have like 30 suits, so 30 times 4 is what? 120? It's 120 outfits. Boom.
Because you keep them coming, man. I see your videos. Like,
thank you.
How do you edit those videos? Like, how do you make them?
With a lot of work and tears. I think, I when I get creatively inspired to do something, I just do it. But it takes, as the videos that I do, there's gaps in between them, because I turned 30 last year, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have energy for this anymore. But it is the industry that we're in, and honestly, I do enjoy making those videos. Yeah.
Wow, because they're amazing, and it shows off your sense of style. Your
Thank you.
your creativity, your energy.
Yeah, so it's always fun when I have those bursts of inspiration. And what drives my fashion style is um I've said this in so many interviews. Like for me, like I do battle with anxiety. I always have. And fashion is my personal style is one thing that I can actually control. Putting an outfit together is not just like putting an outfit together just to like be cute for somebody else. It's something that I can control, like my communication that I can control. And it just fills me with pride, and it just makes me feel a bit more confident. I feel like I'm wearing armor instead of put on an outfit, because I'm like, because if I'm dressing up in a certain way, like I have my belt tied and I have the boots on, like I feel strong. I'm like, yeah, you can't say shit to me. I look amazing.
It also helps that you have a frame that is relatively easy to style.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm slim, but I am like every single thing that I have, which is why I've had to become very skillful in mixing and matching my clothes. Everything kind of has to be bespoke because I'm so slim in the waist. So I have things that look better on me, but then they have to be tailored to my body, and that costs a lot of money. And thankfully, because of my career, a lot of brands have just decided to work with me. So I haven't really had to buy a lot of the suits that I have. If you're going to an event, they're like, oh, what dress for this? I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because I can't keep buying 250K suits. Like, it's not sustainable. I can't even buy one right now. Shit. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be spending money on that. I should be putting money in my investment portfolio and not hanging in my closet. So yeah, it is easy. It's easier when it's like tailored to your body. And but the thing is, I also kind of feel like it's always a choice. Like if you wanted to dress like if I wanted to wear some of the things that I wear right now, you could definitely pull it off. You just kind of have to want to pull it off, and it's fine, But a lot of people are like, oh no, that's too much for me. It's not how I feel about it. And that's fine. I want to push the limits and try everything and decide what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I can't wear sneakers because my ankles are like too skinny. I end up looking like a Sasquatch,
I like to make this distinction, right? That there's a difference between being a creative and a creative individual.
Yeah.
And I think you are the latter, because a lot of people kind of think that it's a one-size-fits-all word. I think if you're creative, if you can do, you are a creative if you have a skill that you can replicate time and time again. But you're a creative individual if your creativity is not limited to the skill. It affects your personality, the kind of conversations you have, the way you see the world, the way you express yourself. So, and one of the things I do on this podcast, I like to identify creative individuals. People whose entire, life is a whole creative pursuit of self-expression. And so when I reached out to you, it was a no-brainer. A lot of the guests I've had are people that in one way or the other live out this ideal. And my question for you now is, have you ever thought about it that way? And if so, how did you get to this point?
I've always been very uncomfortable with nomenclature. Just generally kind of classifying yourself as one thing, because it just doesn't give a lot of margin for growth or diversity in expression. So I don't think of myself as one thing. I do know I'm a creative person based on what I know to be true and what I feel. But I would not say, oh, I'm a creative. I would tell you the things that I've done, and then you can either call me a creative or not, especially because there has to be a healthy detachment from the work that I do.
Yeah.
Because if there's no detachment from it, then I automatically become identified to what people see me as, which is going to be so volatile that I will not have a personality if everyone is to be believed. So I think I think right now where I'm at is I don't think about it. I'm just trying to be, I'm someone that has acted. I'm someone that has, done fashion consultancy. I just wrote a children's book that, I published on my 31st birthday. And then, I'm someone that, I have a fashion consultancy. I help other people, try and like, especially grooms, try and just feel their best on their day. And I'm someone that writes. I'm someone that feels things very deeply. I'm someone that speaks universe. I'm a lot of different things at the same time. And all those things can be true based on how you experience me. Some people don't know me as an actor. Some people know me as a fashion consultant. Some people don't know me as an author. Some people know me as, some people don't even know what I do. Some people still think I'm a model, which is very stressful. But I'm like, actually, no, I'm not a model. I'm like, damn, I need to work harder. Like, they don't know what I do. Like, I'm like, damn it. Like, I've been working my ass off. So I don't think about it too much. I just do.
It's good that you said you don't like to like use nomenclature or like labels to box yourself in. And one of the ways I do that for myself is, the whole God idea. God is, the idea is like just being infinite and chasing whatever calls to you at any point in time. And I fuck with that. I think there's just so much anyone can be at any point in time. And it's stressful having to like live in a way that confines you to one place, because by the time you see something that interests you, something else, you're not conflicted. You don't have that freedom or that freeness to go and try something. You feel like you have to maintain the idea or perception you've put out there to others and onto yourself. And
honestly, I do feel that sometimes like that's how, being in Lagos made me feel. You leave your house and, you're in a safe space, and then you go out and then there's all of a sudden all these like untapped, unrequested opinions from people about who you are and how you should be, or, and so for some time I kind of like hid myself away. Not because like I feel like everybody really gives a shit about what I still think that nobody actually cares about what I'm doing at the time, but I'm always surprised when they do. But like I realized that like I just didn't. I'm naturally like a very private person, and I really just like doing my thing. I don't bother anybody. I mind my business. I pay my taxes. I take care of my people. But that my entire life, people have tried to label me. They've always tried to label me. So when I was a kid, through bullying, when I started in the industry, they tried to call me a stylist. Never been a stylist. I've been a fashion consultant. I've never been a model. I've been an actor. I've been so many different things than what they've called me out to be. And at some point, it was just beginning to press me like, what more do I have to do to like let them see the context and the truth of who I am? And then when I stopped giving a shit, and I was like, honestly, I really don't care anymore. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do, and you can either eat it or, not. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just doing me, for the most part. We're human beings. As much as we say we don't care what people think, of course, to some extent, you're gonna care. Like, you're one person. It will affect you in some way or the other. But by and large, the baseline of the compulsion to like really consider what people are going to think or feel about certain things, that's gone.
Man, I care, man. It's important to care. I feel like at any point in time, I think it's natural to always have that healthy awareness of what the world sees you as. Just because sometimes it's important that you try to express flawlessly what you are, to the world, and then see how they feel about that. Not that it's going to make you doubt yourself. Like, how the world feels about you shouldn't affect how you see yourself, but you should at least know,
Yeah. I mean, even with small things like dressing up, like if I'm getting ready to go somewhere and, sometimes my outfits are like quite over the top for what the event calls for. And, people are like, oh no, like, why are you just so dressed up? People are not going to be wearing, that much at this event. And in my head, I'm like, and?
Shit, and?
Like, that has nothing to do with me. And so, and in the past, and even recently, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do too much. Like, oh, I don't want to be seen as too much. But I'm like, but this is exactly what you felt like wearing today, and it made you feel very happy. So why are you trying to like shield that, when you leave your house, make sure it's worth everybody else's while.
Whenever I come across your content and you doing your stuff, I'm like, God damn, this nigga looks, what the fuck is he drinking? Like, I have my sense of style, which is non-existent, it's like all over the place.
You do have your own style, though. It's not like this. It's fairly consistent. You do like a nice kimono, and you wear solid colors and leathers, and you wear like nice and light shoes. You don't want anything weighing you down.
Exactly. Yeah. But when I see niggas like you who like, the flamboyance of it all, I'm like, God damn, I wish I could pull that off, And
yeah, I mean, you can.
I mean, I could but like you do it, it's so Denola Grey. That's the beautiful thing about it. You see it and it's so you. And I fuck with that. Whenever I see someone who is in themselves, like more than anything, I think, in fact, I put it like this, right? The best influence anyone can ever have is not to make other people want to be like them, but making them want to be more themselves. Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume. Let's talk about your children's book. You see, again, I'm like a fly to your flame, bro. Because I see these things, like I said, I like to see people who just expand and explore and conquer. And you did this book, which, if I'm being honest, I never saw it in your feature. I never saw Denola Grey.
I never saw it in my feature.
I never saw you and thought, this would be a nigga who's gonna like write a book, let alone a children's book. Because it's one thing to write a book, right? Like I think most people can write a book, but a children's book is a different finesse to writing for children, to think like a child and write for a child.
Right.
And now that I think about yes. And then now that I think about it, it's like, who better than you? So how did that come about? Like, what was that about?
So it's actually really interesting because, like, if you told me in the beginning of this year that I'll be writing a book, or let alone a children's book, I would have called you like a liar, because most children actually make me like very nervous. Like they're just like tiny humans that you can break, and and then and I'm just like, oh my god. So I got approached by this company. It's a tech startup actually. It's called a Kitty. They're launching this platform. They've launched this platform where they're going to be hosting exclusively children and child-related content for like education and for like fiction, stuff like that, because they really are trying to expand West African culture into into the world, and really just like have more African and Nigerian children see themselves in literature. And so they approached me and said, like, hey, we want to work with you on this. Do you have any ideas of things that you want to do? And so I sat down with them and we discussed. I was like, you know what? These are some of the things that I wish I read as a kid. I read a lot of the Enid Blyton books and like all those, things like that. And I'm like, the Jane was cool and all, but like, we can have something, we have so much that we can offer here as well. And so we agreed to partner on it. And then I said I wanted something that, had to do something that had like magic. I love magic. Like I'm the nigga that would be watching like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Game of Thrones.
Yes, sir.
And my friends and my brother, even my best friend Falabi, like thinking about it. He's like, oh, Jenna, let's go and watch this movie. He's like, don't worry, there's magic inside. Like up till now, I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm that guy. So like, I really wanted to like infuse that into the story as well. So I worked with a ghostwriter on it. He gave me the first draft, and then I went through everything and I took a lot of things out. I added my own words into it as well, just for the structure. And then we ended up with something that we could all be very proud of. So like the skeleton of it, like the names of the people and the towns and everything, that was from the ghostwriter, and then the actual story and the ethos behind it and the energy behind it, that was like the most stimulating. So yeah, so what it really was is like I said, I value kindness, and I wanted to let kids know that it's okay to be kind. Like, you don't have to be a dickhead to be cool, and kindness will always reverberate goodwill back to you as well.
Okay, well done, man. There's gonna be some very, very woke kids who are gonna read these books.
Hopefully.
Shameless plug alert.
If you own a brand or a business, you should really consider becoming a sponsor of this podcast. It's a cool and effective way to reach new audiences. I'm always on the lookout for partnerships that would be a good fit for me, and most importantly, give value to my audience. As a sponsor, you will have access to my many creative talents. I will craft a message so sharp, one that will cut through the noise like a knife. I will make it seem like your product holds the key to eternal life itself. I will so wash you in front of my audience, authentically, of course. Call it authentic wash. Bottom line is, you can never have enough brand awareness, and podcasts are a great way to build that. To discuss options, shoot me an email, avocreative.ng@gmail.com. avocreative.ng@gmail.com. Let's make magic together.
At what age did you realize that you were fine?
And I'm not even trying to be funny about this, and I will talk to my best friend Desire about this all the time. I don't necessarily think I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it. I mean, I know I like dressing up, and I know when I look good, but in terms of physical attraction, I think because of the way I was socialized and the way I was treated by some people, I never really thought attractive.
So when people call you out for being, good to look at and your facial structure, how does that make you feel?
I literally feel like sneaking into the ground. It really stresses me out. I appreciate it, but then I'm like, they're not talking about me. Yeah, I guess we never really see ourselves the way other people see us, right? So, I know I'm not
hideous,
right? But then in terms of that, with that energy, no. I'm always there oh, thank you so much. Shut up. You're beautiful. I have a hard time accepting it. And for the longest time, my friends thought I was doing that just fish for more compliments. But I think over time she realized that she genuinely it makes me very uncomfortable. I just don't know. I always think that they're taking the piss. I'm no. Because I'm if you think I'm so fine, then how come my DMs are empty as fuck? Come on now.
I refuse to believe that.
No, I'm still, well, so the thing is, recently, if you're my close friends, you're not my close friends, but I ask my close friends small on Instagram, but there are some outlandish DMs that I get that I'm oh my God, but that's fairly recently. Okay. But I don't think, the people even in Lagos, no one says anything to me. So it takes me leaving the country to be do I still got it? What? And then I hear oh, okay, Tinder is popping over here. My Tinder, I haven't had Tinder in years. I haven't had Tinder since 2017. But I would be in Lagos and the Tinder would be dry. I'm nobody's checking for the kid. Okay, cool. Then I come here and I feel for literally 1 hour. I have I'm not even getting 80 something matches. I'm
wow.
I'll be damned.
Wow, clearly so you're in the wrong space.
We just beg the question and just fucking fronters.
Yes. Yes. Especially when they don't know what to do with you.
They don't know what to do with me. And I found that it's that's always been the case. Even when I was in school in Texas, I was in a predominantly white university, and I think even the white people, they didn't really know what to do with me, because they're he's not African American, but he's also very black because he's from Africa. But then we also don't want to be dickheads to him because he's not like everybody else. What do we do with him? It's always been the thing. Nobody ever really knows what to do with me. And sometimes rather than breaking the mental spell, they just leave me alone. So
Yeah. I think it's to your credit, really, that your DMs are not popping because society will have you believe that you're the shit, so your DM should be popping. But I think there's a certain way you would carry yourself that people would be intimidated to come in your DMs because they would see how you carry yourself and they would feel this guy's out of my league. Not necessarily
I do get that a lot. The whole thing of intimidation. I'm like, I am the least intimidated. If anything, if I meet a new person, I'm probably more scared of you than you probably should be of me, because I never know what to expect with, especially Nigerians. Like, are they going to be polite? Are they going to say something sideways about me to my face? Like, I just never know. So I'm always very like, whatever. But I get that thing a lot. That like, when I first saw you, I thought that you would be like. And even from like Nigerian like celebrities, like industry friends, they were like, "Oh my God, you're like so much nicer than I thought you would be. Like you look like a bitch." And I'm like, "Jere ni mojoko." I was just saying, I was like,
Oh wow.
Wow. And like,
bro.
I've been friends with most of these people, and they're just like not gonna talk to me because you assume I'm a certain man. That's not cool. Yeah, making me miss out on some dope friendships I could have had this entire time. But yeah. But then again, I guess it's fine.
The way I see it is, again, it's still to your credit because in the end, right, the only people that will slide in your DMs, right, are people that have balls and people who see you, who understand what exactly you are. People who don't get it, they'll create this assumption that has to do with you being intimidating as opposed to them not having the testicular fortitude.
Testicular fortitude, he says. I'm going to use that on a human person today.
Yes, sir. Tell them Rodney said it.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's a read-out process, I think. I think definitely, like, I'm actually a very shy person. I never, like, I try and avoid shooting shots because
you can't handle the
I just don't know. I can't. I'm a very awkward person. I'm a very awkward person. And I'm okay with how awkward I am now. But like, I'm a very awkward person. So I never even know when I'm being flirted with. I have to be told, "I'm flirting with you," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
Awkward as always.
Awkward.
Like, don't thank me, Denola. Flirt back.
No, I'm like, I don't know what to say. It's lovely weather we're having today. And I love all parts of your face that are covered by skin. So.
Except the eyes.
Except the eyeballs.
And your teeth.
And the teeth.
There's already an over-fixation, an obsession with physical beauty in society these days. I think it's like, people they complain about all other kinds of issues, but I think one of the ones that really like has flown under the radar is just how much people focus on the outward things. For example, you would hear people say something like, "Oh, she's so beautiful. How would he cheat on her or treat her that way?" Or
she could be a fucking nightmare.
Or she's so beautiful, or he's so beautiful. Like, why is he single? Or oh my God, look how good she looks at 50.
Or life is easier for you because you look a certain way. I guess people say that a lot, actually. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm sure life is so easy. Oh my God, I'm sure you just skip through life." I'm like, bitch, what? No.
And there we have it, Denola. You have finally become a guest on the podcast, The Young Coach.
I know. I'm like really excited. I feel like a cool guy.
Is there anything you want to know from me?
Everything. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. I think I have you figured out, and then I see some tweets, and I'm like, okay, that's new. That's new. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Really?
I'm like, yeah. I don't know. Okay. But so do you like joke a lot? Like, are you like are you a sarcastic person? Would you say?
I'm a prankster. I have that. I joke a lot. I don't take myself too seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
I think I have a nice balance.
Would you consider yourself? would you consider yourself like emotionally intelligent?
Very,
Yeah.
very.
Are you a player?
Am I a am I a player? I'm not a player. The way I put it like this always, I'm a deep woke womanizer. Yeah. And what that means is that while a player goes around oblivious to the feelings of the women whose hearts he hurts and, you know, all the different things he's doing, I care very much. I'm very sensitive to these things. You know, I understand how a person can change for better or for worse by being with another person, you know.
Yeah.
So I've made it my thing that if I'm going to be with anyone, they're going to be better by being with me in that way.
Yeah.
So while I might not be settling or committing, you know, full time with that person, it's not going to just be a thoughtless, emotionless entanglement. It's going to be really nice and wholesome and tasteful, and you're going to get the best of me while I'm there.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
And you let them know this?
Yes, I let them know this because at first it's like, women get very apprehensive when there is no like set destination in a relationship, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For anybody really.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I do, which is the emotionally intelligent thing, is I understand that and I explain to them where I'm coming from and that I'm not ready to date, but I do like you and I really want to, hang out and do stuff and whatever. And now they're in this position where they have to now decide, okay, do I like this guy enough to try this? Or am I really
or would this end in tears?
or would this end in tears? Or would I just want to just keep it moving? Like I'm cool. So I give them that option. And more often than not, they want to know what's up. You know what I'm saying?
But no, I actually feel, I understand it. I actually get it. Like, I mean, I always feel that, and some of the best advice I ever got was from my mentor, Mrs. Rennie Falario. And Rennie Falario, she said, whoever you are, whatever it is that you do, just own it. I just own it. Like, if so, that is your truth. That is your truth. It's not going to be your truth forever. Like, so just keep like owning your truth as you evolve. So I think like that's all you can really do.
Yeah, you own it. But in the end, man, it's like, be a decent human being, whatever you do, right?
Oh yeah, just don't be a dickhead. Goes without saying.
And you find that if you're able to be that for a woman, with a woman, they understand that, okay, it's possible. Obviously, men don't think this way on a normal day, so you can understand why they wouldn't expect it or be open to it. But those that have, again, back to that word, testicular fortitude, to see what
testicular fortitude, I love it.
To see what is behind the curtain. Okay, this guy, he appears a certain way. Let's see what that's about. And they get to know you, and then they, there's some rapport, and then they figure out, okay, you know what? This is not going to end in happily ever after, but for sure there's some benefit, some value to right now.
Yeah. I like that. That's real.
And I think you get a lot of practice in because
it's all about practice.
Practice. It's all about practice. It's all about building that muscle, because if you stay single long enough, you lose that muscle of connecting and being able to feel for someone else. And then when you really feel like you've met someone you want to commit with, then you have to start from zero to like catch up, and then you can mess that up.
But I think on learning, like being single is addictive, man, honestly, because like I would say, I'm my best when I'm single, but then I can also but that's also a choice. Because you just become so comfortable being single and just like not answering to anyone. But then when you get faced with the possibility of actually like coming to someone and then considering them we're used to just being super like unattached and like unbeholden to anyone else. So it's a tough thing to unlearn. And a lot of the time, a lot of us are just not willing to do the extra paperwork, myself included. I'm like, I do not understand why I have checked in here about anything. Come on. But it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Sometimes. Sometimes. That's a big deserve it. This was great. I actually had a lot of fun. You're good people.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man. Denola Grey. And this is The Young God. If you made it to the end of this episode, you're a real one. Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, there's a whole lot more where that came from. Just scroll down, you'll see all the range of topics, guests, stories, whatever. I've put in some work for you guys. So there's something for everyone. I release episodes every Saturday at midnight. And depending on my mood, I might release 2 or 3. You know, I can be generous like that. So don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you feel so inspired. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And follow the podcast on Instagram at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God for exclusive content. And just, we're in this, man. Thanks again. Rodney Makache, out.